I'll invite the next speaker on stage from TESCO. You're going first? Yeah. Balaji Gauda from TESCO.
All right, thank you. Am I audible enough? Slight technical. All right. Reminds me of that the old joke. How many engineers does it take to fix PowerPoint? Anyway, hi everyone. Good morning. Hope you've been having a wonderful day out here today so far. And we from TESCO are quite excited to be here, and we definitely love to. We definitely take this opportunity and thanks AWS for giving us this wonderful opportunity to be here. I'm Balaji, and today I'm here with my colleagues Raj and Uday. And we hope to add to your learning experience by sharing some of our thoughts and some of our experiences on our AWS journey so far. Right, but before we get into that, let me quickly give you a quick introduction on who we are, what we do at TESCO. Right, we are a strong team of about close to 500,000 people, 500,000 colleagues, and by virtue of living our values, which are out there, we are able to successfully run operations across close to 7,000 stores. And these, along with our online channels, help in contributing to a whopping number of about 78 million shopping trips per week. Now, remember, it's the stores as well as the online channels. Right? We are established across 11 different geographies. And this diverse but inclusive set of colleagues are responsible to drive trade, which are close to 48.5 billion pounds in group sales and a group operating profit about close to a billion in pounds. All right, today let's talk about a few things. We would like to share our experiences around how we went about defining our environments. And then we will quickly move on to how we went about having a zero downtime deployment strategy for our stateless APIs. And we will also talk about how we achieved fault tolerance for applications that are stateful in nature. Right? Environments. Now, everyone needs them, right? Everyone needs environments, and there are various different reasons why people need environments. Now, be it for validations, be it for running end-to-end tests, be it for benchmarks, or just for kicks. Right? By the way, that's what drives innovation at TESCO as well. We have developers being able to spin up their environments, do a lot of trials on it, right? And traditionally, just like any other organization, TESCO has a centralized infrastructure team, which is responsible for provisioning our environments. Right? The project teams go to them, they take a request, which gets churned round and round, and then eventually the environment is provisioned. Now we've seen a lot of fireworks in this model. Now one of them being just the time to market, right? It takes a lot of time for anywhere between, in our case, anywhere between 2 weeks to a month for most of our environments to be provisioned. The developer is happy. He's just in waiting mode, and is just waiting for the environment to be there, right? He's doing nothing, which in essence is loss in productivity. Right? There is also another kind of problem over here in this model, right, in terms of housekeeping and patching. Now, though it's a shared responsibility of the developers as well as the infrastructure team to ensure that we don't leave anything hanging out there unused, in essence, in reality, it's never practiced. There is always something out there unused and running the meter. And patching, when we talk about patching, a particular version of a patch across all the environments, more often than not, was just a dream for most of the project teams, right? And which naturally leads into the next kind of problem, which was more on troubleshooting. Now, most of us over here have been guilty about pointing fingers at the infrastructure team whenever there was a problem with the application, right? We've all done that. So all these problems, all these fireworks that this traditional model arises, right, essentially adds on to the cost, be it in terms of unused resources or be it in terms of the loss in productivity. So we said, let's take a step back and let's really go and ask what the stakeholders want, right? Let's ask what the needs were of each of the environments. So we started with the developers, and like you see, they had needs, wants, desires, and a lot more beyond that. But what was really standing out was that they really wanted more control, right? They wanted to provision the environments on their own. Awesome, great. However, little did they realize that they're being robbed of an opportunity to blame the infrastructure team now. Right, and when we really looked at all our stakeholders, right, we said what our developers wanted. We also spoke to what our engineering manager wanted, and she said, I really don't care. You can go and provision how many of our environments you want, as long as you ensure that these environments can adhere or help us adhere to our engineering practices. And the product director, though he didn't say much, he said time to market and costs, right? Which essentially was the most impact of it all. So our needs essentially is in terms of doing a defined set of tasks. Some of these needs are point-in-time needs. Some of these needs are more of a 24/7 nature. Like as you see, we have gated builds, CI builds, acceptance tests, blah, 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 and whatnot, right? So the environments, the way we look at it, is that they are there to serve a particular purpose, right? They want to give us feedback. We want the feedback. They enable giving us the feedback, quick feedbacks, and they don't want to stay there any longer after that. They just want to be terminated. So key terms over there was quick feedback, and they had to be self-serve, in a self-serve model as well, wherein anyone on the team with the right access should be able to go and provision them on demand. Right, so with all these things in mind, what we then said is we started categorizing them into different buckets. Okay, let's start with the permanent one. These are the environments which need to be there for a longer duration or probably 24/7. It's a no-brainer, right? It's production environment for us. And what about our service consumers? The service consumers want a stable environment, and they want a stable environment to be out there. So why not categorize that as pre-production? As a permanent environment. Now, the service consumers, when we spoke to them, they said they wanted the environment to be available during business hours, right? They were very clear. They didn't want to work extra hours, neither did they want to work over the weekends. They said business hours. So great, we said, okay, fine, let's categorize them as a phantom environment, wherein it appears to our service consumers that these environments are running all the time, right? And they are available to them as and when they need it. However, in reality, they are not so. They are actually being terminated at the end of the day. I mean, again, depending on the geographic spread of your service consumers, in our case, we run it for anywhere between 8 to 14 hours a day. And then we see a whole bunch of environments under the transient category. Now, these environments have something in common in nature, right, across all of them. They are there to serve a specific purpose. They are there to provide us quick feedback. They don't want to be lingering around once they are done. So we said all these are transient in nature, and we categorize them under that bucket. It's a great model. It's a great strategy, great model. But however, to achieve this, what we realized is that scripting was the main feature that we needed, right? Be it in terms of provisioning the environments on demand, be it in terms of running our automated scripts to get the required feedback, or be it in terms of bringing these environments down once we have the feedback. And this essentially was a trigger to define our infrastructure as code strategy as well. So let me end with the three main gains that we got out of this model, right? One was it's a self-serve model. Anyone on the team who wants any kind of a feedback can go and trigger a particular job to get the environment and the feedback needed. It's, again, need-based. We don't need to run load test for each and every build. We run load test only when there are substantial amount of code that has gone in. And obviously, it's cost optimized. So no more having unused resources lingering around, and no more excuse to the developer, and no, the developer cannot be in a waiting mode anymore, right? So these were the highlights of the strategy. Now I'd like to hand it over to Raj, who will be talking about how we were able to get a zero downtime deployment for our